With such innovative solutions, we shall soon be able to eliminate environmental problems due to plastic. Besides plastic waste, another hazardous waste that requires attention is medical waste, which is disposed by hospitals, nursing homes, and clinics. It consists of harmful materials such as disposable syringes, surgical instruments, tubes, bottles, disinfectants, and blood-soaked cotton. With the aim to control the treatment and disposal of medical waste, the Biomedical Waste Management Rules were issued under the Environment Protection Act in 1998. Since then, the use of medical incinerators has become crucial in hospitals and nursing homes, where medical wastes are properly burnt. Another solid waste that requires serious attention is electronic waste, commonly known as e-waste, and includes irreparable computers and other electronic goods. Sadly, more than half the e-waste generated in developed countries is exported to developing countries such as China, India, and Pakistan for recycling, in which metals such as copper, iron, silicon, nickel, and gold are recovered. Cheap laborers manually handle the e-waste and are exposed to toxic substances such as lead, mercury, and cadmium. Such toxic substances pose a threat to human health and the environment. Although recycling is the only solution for treating e-waste, the process must safeguard human and environmental health. Therefore, it is essential to recycle and reuse as many items as possible, as it plays a crucial role in managing and reducing solid wastes. In prehistoric times, human beings lived in harmony with nature. But as centuries passed, human needs changed to greed, and soon they started exploiting nature's wealth. Various human activities such as overexploitation, habitat fragmentation, and pollution greatly degraded our natural resources. Apart from these factors, improper resource utilization has caused soil erosion, desertification, waterlogging, and soil salinity. Although soil is naturally eroded by forces such as rain and wind, human activities such as overcultivation, poor irrigation, unrestricted grazing, and deforestation have resulted in arid patches of land. When large patches of such arid land meet, a desert is formed. This phenomenon is called desertification. In fact, rapid urbanization has increased desertification, which is a major problem worldwide. Apart from desertification, agricultural lands are under pressure due to increasing population. Moreover, agricultural malpractices have caused waterlogging and soil salinity, thereby degrading our fields. Waterlogging takes place when irrigated land does not have proper drainage. In such waterlogged land, salts are pulled up to the surface of the soil. Soon the salts start accumulating around the roots or form a thin layer on the surface. Large amounts of salt in the soil are detrimental to plant growth. Sometimes an entire crop is damaged due to soil salinity. Sadly, increasing population is also responsible for converting large forest areas into agricultural land and for construction purposes. This conversion of forested area to non-forested area is called deforestation. Almost 40% of tropical forests have been deforested compared to only 1% of temperate forests. The situation of deforestation in India is heartbreaking. In the early 20th century, forest cover was about 30%, which decreased to 19.4% by the end of the century. Did you know that the National Forest Policy of India, 1988, recommends that hills and plains have forest cover of 67 and 33% respectively? Despite this policy, deforestation has continued in India. One of the major reasons is that exponential growth in human population has increased the demand for agricultural land. In fact, in the northeastern states, slash-and-burn agriculture, commonly known as jhum cultivation, has significantly contributed to deforestation. In this type of cultivation, farmers cut trees in the forest, burn the remains, and cultivate crops on the ash-enriched soil. After cultivation, they move to another segment of the forest and repeat the process, resulting in loss of forest cover. So what if forest cover is lost? How will deforestation affect us? Trees play a crucial role in the ecosystem, where they hold a lot of carbon in their biomass. Deforestation means an increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide and habitat loss, which causes loss of biodiversity due to loss of forest cover. In addition, deforestation disturbs the hydrologic cycle, causing soil erosion and, in extreme cases, may lead to desertification. Therefore, reforestation, a process of restoring a forest that once existed but was cleared in the past, is imperative. Although reforestation may occur naturally, we can accelerate the process by planting trees that earlier existed in that area. Apart from reforestation, conservation of existing forests is equally important. Our country has a long history of people's courage to conserve forests. Let us take a look at some interesting events. In 1731, a Bishnoi woman named Amrita Devi showed commendable bravery by hugging a tree when the king of Jodhpur sent his men to cut trees for his new palace. She was adamant and defied the king's men, saying the axe would have to fall on her before they cut the tree. Sadly, her 3 daughters and hundreds of other Bishnois followed her, sacrificing their lives to save trees. The Government of India recently instituted the Amrita Devi Bishnoi Wildlife Protection Award for individuals and communities from rural areas who show extraordinary courage and dedication in protecting wildlife. Another courageous act was that of the local women of Garhwal in the Himalayas in 1974. They too showed courage by hugging trees and preventing them from being cut by contractors. This movement came to be known as the Chipko movement, which is now acclaimed worldwide. Taking note of the importance of participation by local communities, the Government of India in the 1980s introduced the concept of joint forest management. This concept encourages the participation of local communities to protect and manage forests. In return, these communities get the benefit of collecting various forest products such as fruit, gum, and medicinal plants. In this way, every measure taken to prevent degradation of our natural resources is important, where we understand the importance of sustainable development. This is a greenhouse. A greenhouse is a glass structure that allows us to grow plants throughout the year, especially in winter when sunlight is minimum. A greenhouse traps solar energy and heats the interior, while the roof and walls slow the escape of heat. This process resembles the way the atmosphere helps keep the earth warm by trapping solar heat, and hence the term greenhouse effect is used to describe the earth's heating process. Interestingly, without the greenhouse effect, the average temperature of the earth's surface would have been -18 degrees Celsius, rather than the present average temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. To understand the greenhouse effect, let us see what happens to sunlight when it reaches the Earth's atmosphere. When solar radiation enters the atmosphere, it gets absorbed by clouds and gases. However, about 1/4 of the incoming solar radiation is reflected by clouds and gases. The atmosphere allows most of the radiation to pass through and heat the Earth's surface. The Earth, in return, reflects some of this heat back into the atmosphere as infrared radiation. Most of this long-wave infrared radiation does not escape back into space, as it is absorbed by atmospheric gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone, to name a few. These gases, commonly known as greenhouse gases, then send the infrared radiation back to the Earth's surface, thereby heating the surface again. This cycle repeats several times, thereby resulting in the greenhouse effect. In the last few decades, the amount of greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide, has increased in the atmosphere primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels, coal and oil. This has resulted in continuous heating of the Earth, which has led to global warming. Did you know that during the last century, mainly in the last 3 decades, the temperature of the Earth has increased by 0.6 degrees Celsius? Scientists believe that this rise in temperature is resulting in odd climatic changes such as the El Niño effect and melting of polar and mountain ice caps. This active melting of glaciers and snow caps will result in a rise in sea level, which could submerge many coastal areas. Global warming may have several adverse effects in future, which scientists are still researching. Since we are aware of the consequences of global warming, how can we control it? By making small changes in our lifestyle, such as reducing the use of fossil fuels, reducing deforestation, optimally utilizing energy, and planting trees, we can help reduce global warming. This reduction in the use of fossil fuels and deforestation will also reduce the amount of greenhouse gases, which are responsible for global warming. International organizations such as United Nations Environment Programme and Greenpeace are taking measures to control two major environmental issues: global warming and the greenhouse effect. However, global warming and the greenhouse effect can only be tackled if we all actively contribute to its reduction. The formation of ozone dates back several billion years, when the Earth was formed. Initially, there was no atmosphere. The Earth's surface was covered by water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia released from a molten mass. Gradually, the ultraviolet rays of the sun broke up the water vapor to form hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen, being a lighter gas than oxygen, escaped. The high-energy ultraviolet rays of the sun reacted with other oxygen molecules to form ozone. Ozone is found in low concentrations throughout the Earth's atmosphere. However, about 90% of ozone is found in the lower portion of the stratosphere, where it forms the ozone layer. This layer is between 13 kilometers and 20 kilometers above the Earth's surface and varies geographically and seasonally. The thickness of the ozone layer is measured in Dobson units. Depending on the function of ozone, it is categorized as bad or good. In the troposphere, ozone is considered an air pollutant as it harms plants and animals, and it is thus known as bad ozone. While in the stratosphere, ozone acts as a protective covering and blocks about 95 to 99% of harmful ultraviolet rays from entering the Earth. Here it is referred to as good ozone. Unfortunately, various human activities have resulted in depletion of the protective ozone layer. Moreover, there has been an imbalance between production and degradation of ozone in the atmosphere. This degradation has occurred due to chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, which are mainly used as refrigerants in air conditioners, refrigerators, and aerosol products. When CFCs are discharged into the atmosphere, they move up to reach the stratosphere and, being long-lived molecules, remain in their original state. In the stratosphere, CFCs react with ultraviolet rays, releasing chlorine atoms, which in turn degrades ozone-releasing molecular oxygen. These chlorine atoms function as catalysts only. Moreover, the continuous addition of CFCs results in further degradation of the ozone layer. Scientists discovered that the decrease of ozone in the upper atmosphere depends on latitude. Studies have shown that the decrease in ozone is strongest in regions over the South Pole, that is, the Antarctic region. This thinned ozone layer is called an ozone hole. Similarly, there is an ozone hole over the Arctic region, but over a smaller area. The thinning of the ozone layer has made it possible for ultraviolet rays to reach the Earth's surface. These rays are highly injurious to organisms as they break the chemical bonds in DNA and protein molecules. Moreover, prolonged exposure to ultraviolet rays has harmful effects on human beings. It causes aging of the skin, damage to skin cells, and various types of skin cancers. Moreover, if the cornea of the eye absorbs high doses of UVB radiations, it causes inflammation of the cornea, commonly known as snow blindness cataract. Prolonged exposure to these rays may also permanently damage the cornea. Realizing the harmful effects of CFCs on the depletion of the ozone layer, 31 nations signed the Montreal Protocol in 1987 to limit their production of CFCs. As of today, 196 nations have signed the protocol. Several other measures have been taken and protocols laid down, with separate roadmaps for developed and developing countries, to ensure a reduction in the emission of CFCs and other ozone-depleting substances or ODS. We too can prevent and control the depletion of the ozone layer by avoiding the use of CFCs and other ODS. A recent study showed that a large number of children in Punjab were detected with a small amount of chemicals in their bodies. These chemicals have had serious health consequences. In fact, the entire state is witnessing health consequences due to intensive farming and the use of agrochemicals during the Green Revolution. Though the Green Revolution enhanced crop production in our country, it also caused serious harm to the environment. This revolution encouraged farmers to use various agrochemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides, and fungicides for better and increased crop production. However, the use of these agrochemicals has polluted soil, thereby reducing its fertility. Moreover, when water flows through these polluted fields, the runoff carries the agrochemicals into water bodies, thereby polluting them as well. Leaching of these harmful substances has also contaminated groundwater. In fact, large quantities of these chemicals in agricultural runoff have caused eutrophication in many water bodies. Apart from fertilizers, farmers were also encouraged to use pesticides to kill insect pests, nematodes, and rodents, which damage crops. However, these pesticides also harmed non-target organisms such as symbiotic bacteria, earthworms, honeybees, fish, amphibians, and birds, which form a part of the soil and water ecosystem. In fact, most of the pesticides such as DDT, chlorpyrifos, and aldrin are non-biodegradable and are easily incorporated into the food chain, thereby causing biomagnification of the toxicant. For instance, biomagnification of chemicals in the terrestrial food chain includes grass, cattle, and human beings. Similarly, Biomagnifications of DDT in an aquatic food chain, including zooplankton, small fish, large fish, and fish-eating birds, is shown in the diagram. Apart from biomagnification, there are some serious agricultural problems that need immediate attention. One of the best ways to address this problem is by incorporating organic farming. Organic farming is a cyclic, zero-waste procedure where waste products from one process are cycled in as nutrients for other processes. This allows the optimum use of resources and increases production. Taking note of the benefits of organic farming, several farmers are trying to adopt this mode of farming. One such farmer is Ramesh Chandar Dagar from Sonipat. He has implemented environment-friendly activities like beekeeping, dairy management, composting, water harvesting, and agriculture, which function as a chain of processes. These processes support each other and form an economical and sustainable venture. He used cattle dung as manure, while crop waste was used to create compost and generate natural gas. Ramesh Chandar Dagar also established an association named the Haryana Kisan Welfare Club to spread awareness about integrated organic farming. This club has a membership of about 5,000 farmers. By integrating organic farming, farmers can revive our environment and help create a better living place for themselves. Besides agrochemical wastes, another hazardous waste is radioactive waste, which is polluting our environment. Although some radioisotopes such as radium-226 and uranium-235 occur naturally in rocks and soil, others like cobalt-60, krypton-85 and strontium-90 are formed as fission products from nuclear reactors and atomic bomb fallout. Initially, nuclear energy was used in a non-polluting way to generate electricity. However, later it was realized that the use of nuclear reactors had two very inherent problems: accidental leakage and safe disposal of radioactive wastes. One of the most tragic radioactive disasters occurred on April 26, 1986, in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the town of Pripyat in the Ukraine. The accident occurred when one of the reactors of the plant underwent a catastrophic increase in power, leading to an explosion. During the explosion, large amounts of radioactive substances were dispersed in the air. These radiations severely affected life in Pripyat. Many people suffered from acute radiation sickness, where their organ tissues were damaged due to excessive exposure to radiation. Several others developed cancer and tumors and underwent genetic mutations. In a few weeks, people evacuated this town. Nuclear radiations are extremely harmful to organisms. High doses of radiation can cause gene mutations and may even cause death. At lower doses, these radiations cause various disorders, cancer being the most common. Therefore, it is important to handle any radioactive waste with utmost caution. It is strongly advised that nuclear wastes be buried within rocks 500 meters below the Earth's surface after they have been pre-treated and stored in shielded containers. The use of radioactive and agrochemical substances has several benefits too. However, their use should be minimized, as agrochemical substances can harm the environment and radioactive wastes can prove hazardous if not disposed carefully.